Today I wanted to do something a little different and talk about the future of roller coasters at Disney parks across the United States. And the thing that really got my brain turning about this subject was the fact that Universal Studios has been really leaning into the thrill coaster department recently, and I'm starting to wonder if Disney is ever gonna respond with a thrill coaster. In 2021, Universal's Islands of Adventure opened up Velocicoaster, and that's like highly regarded as one of the best roller coasters of all time. And now they started cooking up the Fast and Furious coaster at Universal Hollywood, and they're working on Stardust Racers at Epic Universe, which just looks absolutely amazing. I'm very excited for that attraction. So I would bet my house that both the Fast and Furious coaster and Stardust Racers are going to be grand slams. They're going to be so successful. Everyone's going to love them. I'm actually really interested to see which one is better, Stardust Racers or Hollywood Drift. But either way, they're both super exciting. So I'm wondering if Disney is ever going to step up their game with a thrill coaster. Another aspect of this is I feel like they have two thrill coasters right now, which are Incredicoaster at California Adventure and Rock and Roller Coaster at Hollywood Studios. And I just got to visit Hollywood Studios not too long ago, and by far the longest line in the park was Rock and Roller Coaster. It consistently had a longer line than Rise of the Resistance, which just absolutely blew my mind. I don't understand why that is, because in my opinion, Rock and Roller Coaster is pretty mediocre. So if Disney decides to get back into the thrill coaster game and they build something on the quality or on the scale of Velocicoaster, I feel like it could be the most popular ride in the park, which says a lot because Rise of the Resistance is one of the most incredible experiences you can have in any theme park ever. But you know, a lot of the general public is just attracted to the tall, fast, and scary roller coaster. So I feel like it wouldn't hurt Disney to just step back into this game, you know? I would say the same with Incredicoaster. I was just there the other day on a super hot, super crowded summer day, and Incredicoaster was one of the longest lines in the resort. So this feels like a really untapped market for Disney. I know there might be some concerns with a tall, fast, and scary roller coaster contradicting the Disney brand, but I really don't feel like that's the case. Like, you don't even have to go too tall or too intense. Like, something in the 100-foot range could still be an amazing thrill coaster. You already have roller coasters in that range at your existing Disney parks. Like, Incredicoaster is like 108 feet tall, something like that. So that's a perfectly manageable height, in my opinion. So today we're gonna go through all 6 American Disney parks and see which park is the most likely to build a thrill coaster. We're gonna start things off in California with the original theme park, Disneyland. In terms of Disney parks, this one's pretty well loaded with roller coasters. You got Space Mountain, you got Matterhorn, which is technically 2 different roller coasters. You have Gadget Go Coaster, and of course you have Big Thunder Mountain. So in my opinion, really the only option that this park has for a potential thrill coaster would be a Star Wars coaster in Galaxy's Edge. There's kind of room for expansion in between Millennium Falcon and Toontown. There's a couple backstage warehouses that could probably be relocated. So I'm sure if Disney really wanted to, they could build a 3rd attraction in Galaxy's Edge. And if I had to bet money, I would imagine that it would be a roller coaster. Now, would that roller coaster be a family style roller coaster, or would it be a thrill coaster? Star Wars is a very big brand. It's a huge arm of the Disney company, and I would imagine that they would want as many people as possible to ride a Star Wars roller coaster. Like that would just market itself. So I would imagine they would go for something along the same thrill level as like Tron or Cosmic Rewind, which I consider to be like family thrill coasters. They're not quite thrill coasters, but they're still manageable for people of all ages. So I would imagine something like that for a roller coaster in Galaxy's Edge. So I'm gonna rule out Disneyland for a thrill coaster because that's really the only avenue to a roller coaster in the same style as like Velocicoaster, Stardust Racers, or Hollywood Drift. And I just don't see them going that route. And of course, a Star Wars roller coaster would be indoors, and indoor roller coasters are pretty limited with how you can make them thrilling. I mean, obviously, thrilling indoor coasters do exist, but I just don't see it happening at Walt's Park. So we're gonna go across to California Adventure. So obviously, this park is home to only one of 2 of the Disney coasters that go upside down in the United States. States. So I don't know if they would build a second thrill coaster in a park. Like, that just seems super extra. I do believe that this park just needs any sort of roller coaster, but I doubt that it would be a thrill coaster. Similar to Disneyland, I feel like the main avenue to a roller coaster at California Adventure would be the Marvel property, probably something in Avengers Campus. And again, because Marvel is like giant brand for Disney, I feel like they would want to make it as accommodating as possible. They would probably try to tell a story with it, and story-driven attractions usually lend themselves to less thrilling experiences, which is fine, but you know, this just isn't what we're looking for in this video. One possibility would be like a Vekoma flying coaster. Maybe you could, I don't know, like strap on to Iron Man or something, or like Iron Man builds a flying device so that we can experience flying in an Iron Man suit, or it could be like a Quinjet themed experience. And Vekoma flying coasters could be really interesting because obviously it would go upside down a couple times, which would qualify itself as a thrill coaster, but I just don't see them going that route. So we're going to go all the way down to Florida. We're going to start things off with Animal Kingdom. So I've actually made a wishlist video for this park. It was actually my first ever new rides wishlist video, and I have a couple different ideas for roller coasters at this park. As of now, there's only one, and that is Expedition Everest, which is one of the greatest Disney coasters ever built, which I also have a full separate review video for. Whenever you talk about new rides at Animal Kingdom, you have to bring up Lion King. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that this park does not have a Lion King attraction, but I don't think that they would go with a roller coaster for Lion King. I would imagine a dark ride of some sort. But if they do go with a roller coaster, they could build like a Pride Rock replica and then have the roller coaster race around Pride Rock, which could be really cool, but it would also be a little similar to Expedition Everest, so again, probably not the best option. Zootopia is a franchise that seems pretty controversial for Animal Kingdom. Like, yes, they're animals, but do they fit in with the rest of the park? That's open to debate. I'm sure a lot of people would think that yes, it does fit in, and a lot of people would definitely disagree. But if they do decide to put Zootopia at Animal Kingdom, I would love to see a dueling police chase roller coaster. I think that could be so cool. Like, imagine something on the scale of like West Coast Racers, but you're like racing throughout the different biomes of Zootopia. That would just be so much fun. And of course, the last thing I have to bring up is Pandora, the World of Avatar. I would love to see a Pandora roller coaster. That land is like one of my favorite of all time. I absolutely love Pandora, and I love roller coasters, so to see a roller coaster in Pandora would just be a match made in heaven for me. In that wishlist video that I mentioned earlier, I also discussed a Vekoma flying coaster. That could be a really beautiful fit in that land. You could be like flying along among the nature and the rockwork of Pandora. That could just be absolutely breathtaking. And again, a Vekoma flying coaster would qualify as a thrill coaster. So I feel like that or a potential police chase dueling roller coaster in Zootopia are the best options for Animal Kingdom. But really, any roller coaster would be great at this park. I feel like Animal Kingdom needs more rides. Like, I love this park so much. This might be my favorite Disney park or my favorite park in Florida. Like, it's just absolutely breathtaking. So we just need more Animal Kingdom. I'm very excited for the future of this park. And honestly, all three of those ideas could come to fruition at some point, which is just amazing. But it sounds like if Pandora is going to expand, it's going to be a water ride of some kind, not a roller coaster. But you know, maybe 10 years, 20 years down the line, we could have a new water ride and a new roller coaster. That's just being completely ambitious, but you know, that could be amazing. Next, we're going to go down to EPCOT, and just like Animal Kingdom, this park just needs anything. The park is huge, and it really doesn't have that many attractions, and of course, it only has one roller coaster, which is Cosmic Rewind. So this park desperately needs new roller coasters. And I know there's a lot of EPCOT purists out there, and I am very much not one of them, so I want to see new stuff at EPCOT, and I feel like a lot of people would be furious if EPCOT was the park to build a thrill coaster at Disney World, but honestly, I feel like it would be a great fit. Like, there's a lot of potential here. So we're gonna run through a couple ideas that I thought of. I believe when EPCOT was in its developing stages, someone pitched a Mount Fuji roller coaster for the Japan Pavilion in World Showcase, and I feel like that would be a great fit. That could be absolutely amazing, but I don't know if that would be a thrill coaster. That, like, Disney has a pretty set formula for mountain coasters. Just look at Matterhorn or Big Thunder Mountain. So I feel like EPCOT could really use an attraction like that, but I don't think they would break from the formula too much. They would would probably keep it on the same thrill level as one of those existing mountains, which again, Epcot could really use. Another big idea for Epcot would be a Mulan attraction for the China Pavilion. I'm not sure if that would come to fruition as a roller coaster. That seems like more of a franchise that would deserve like a full-scale dark ride. If they do go with the roller coaster route, that could be really interesting. Maybe they could theme it to like training, like I Can Make a Man Out of You, you know, like that sequence is pretty iconic. So dedicating a roller coaster to something themed to training, that could be really cool. That could be interesting. And I feel like that could lend itself to a thrill coaster, which could be so cool. Another cool idea would be a Manta style roller coaster for the Seas Pavilion. I feel like that could just be amazing. Like if they themed it, if they kept it low to the ground, I feel like it would fit in really well. Obviously Manta at SeaWorld San Diego, that would be like a perfect blueprint for an attraction like this. It would be absolutely amazing. Plus you could step on the toes of SeaWorld Orlando, which I'm sure Disney would love to do. I know there's also an Intamin version of a Manta roller coaster that just opened up in Abu Dhabi. So if they would want to go with the thrill, you could do something like that. I feel like that would just be an awesome fit. I really like that idea. And then one other thing is the Wonders of Life Pavilion, which has just been sitting abandoned for years. You could build a thrill coaster and just make the argument that this ride will make you feel alive, you know? Just build an awesome thrill, probably a launch coaster, maybe something on the same scale as Velocicoaster, and just feel the rush, feel alive on this awesome thrill machine, you know, that could be really cool. I'm sure a lot of these ideas would be upsetting to Epcot purists. One thing I've been glossing over is the fact that Disney is probably only going to build attractions that are related to an IP. So the ideas that aren't related to an IP, you can probably just throw them in the trash because they won't happen. I'm pretty sure Bob Iger even said that Disney won't build any more attractions unless they're affiliated with an IP, but you could still attach an IP to a couple of these. Like you could give the Manta coaster to Nemo, or Luca, or Moana, or even Ariel, you know? The Disney company has such a massive catalog that there are plenty of options, and there are plenty of movies out there that deserve rides that don't have them. I mentioned Lion King, Mulan is also a great example. So that's just the world that we live in, so we gotta keep that in mind. We're gonna hop on the Skyliner next and take it to Hollywood Studios. So obviously, just like Disneyland, this park has Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, so if they do build a roller coaster themed to Star Wars, I would imagine that they would build it in both California and Florida. So there's that possibility for Hollywood Studios, and just like California Adventure, this park already has a thrill coaster, so it would be interesting to see if they would ever build a second thrill coaster at Hollywood Studios. I feel like any future expansion to Hollywood Studios is going to involve like a full themed immersive land with an IP. There have been a couple rumors out there. If Zootopia doesn't go to Animal Kingdom, it could go to Hollywood Studios. They might also build a Cars Land, and I don't think that they would go with a clone of Radiator Springs Racers in Florida. The problem with the Test Track / Radiator Springs Racers ride system is that it's really sensitive to rain, and of course it rains all the time in Florida. And as of the time of this recording, Test Track is going through its massive refurbishment, and one of the big rumors is that they're going to enclose the outdoor sequence of Test Track, so it would basically make the ride system waterproof, which would be great. And obviously you could not enclose Radiator Springs Racers because the big climax of the ride is an outdoor race through Ornament Valley, so you got to keep that outside, and it would not fit in Florida. So if they do build a Cars Land, maybe they would go with a roller coaster instead of a Test Track style ride. So that could be interesting. Another big rumor is a Villains Land that might eventually come to a Disney park, but that hasn't been married to one specific park yet. But I feel like Hollywood Studios would be a big contender for a Villains Land. The other major contender would be Magic Kingdom, which is our final park for this video. So obviously, I feel like just the nature of having a Villains Land would lend itself to a more thrilling attraction, like a thrilling roller coaster. There's just so much potential with that. Plus, the villains are just so popular. They're very popular. And the fans of those characters are pretty underserved in terms of attractions. Really, the only thing that they have is the villain sequence in Fantasmic. But outside of that, that's pretty much it. So I could definitely see a Villains Land featuring a thrill coaster. Whether that goes to Magic Kingdom or Hollywood Studios would be very interesting to see. I'm not sure how Disney would feel about adding a thrill coaster to Magic Kingdom, which is like very, very deeply rooted with the Disney image, like the castle and the fireworks. I don't know if they feel like a thrill coaster could potentially step on the toes of that, but a thrill coaster would definitely belong at Hollywood Studios. I feel like the only like Magic Kingdom centric idea that I have would be a potential Moana coaster. I feel like having a roller coaster race through a volcano could be really cool. But once again, I don't know if that would be a thrill coaster because Disney has a formula for mountain coasters. And Moana would also probably be more of a story driven experience, so that doesn't necessarily fit in with a thrill coaster. And again, it could just be a dark ride of some sort. But I feel like a Moana attraction would belong in Adventureland, so it will be interesting to see if this ever materializes, whether it's a roller coaster, a dark ride, or a thrill coaster. Out of all 6 of these parks, I feel like Hollywood Studios is the most likely to get a thrill coaster, even though they already have one. Like, I feel like a second thrill coaster at Hollywood Studios would just make perfect sense. And once again, Rock and Roller Coasters seems to be more popular than Rise of the Resistance, which just I can't comprehend. If you want to lean into that demand, then you could totally exploit it with a second thrill coaster at Hollywood Studios. And right now they only have 2. They have Slinky Dog Dash, which is totally tame, and of course Rock and Roller Coaster. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you later.